Hey friends, I just want to let you know that this introduction might be a little bit longer-winded than normal, so just as a reminder, every time or every weekly, in the description below I have a little bit of a navigation thing so you can click to the section that you want to go to, so if you want to skip some of this stuff, click somewhere down below, okay? Yeah, let's get started.
Patch day. It's nice and peaceful over here in Darkshore. It's pretty cool here. I'm just going to stand here innocently and enjoy the sights and the sounds. Boy, that moon is, it's pretty big. Wait, what? Wow, well, I feel funny. Ooh, what's this? Oh my god, what's happening to me? What the hell am I twirling for? Wait, I didn't. No, I know what this is. I don't want this. I'm not consenting. No, I don't want this. No, please. Can we stop? No, don't look at me. Come on, don't look at. Wait, what? What the heck? What are they doing here? I don't get this at all. Why are we doing this? You've got to be kidding me. No, you can't just leave me like this and do the intro. No, stop it. Come on. Oh.
Welcome back everyone, and I am Soul. It is December 14th, 2018. This is Warcraft Weekly, and today's episode is brought to you by Laylight, Luke Whitehouse, and James McDougal, EE, or the second. Yeah, the three of you will soon be the proud owners of a Whomper pet, so congratulations. As a reminder, there's another contest going on where I'm going to be giving away my goodie bag from BlizzCon, and this is something that's going to be eligible for everybody, no matter where you live, except, you know, unless you live on the moon or something. All I need from you in a comment below is some honest feedback about the channel, about the stream, and how I can improve it to better your experience. You might be wondering to yourself, just why, Soul? Why are you holding a contest just to get some feedback? Why don't you just ask for it? Because this is what it takes to get feedback, okay? If giving out goodies is what it takes to get some good and honest feedback from you, then so be it. And by the way, that contest will close on the 28th of this month, so submit something, leave a comment, let me know how I'm doing and what I can do to do better. Anyway, Bob's somewhere, I don't know, over there, reevaluating what gender he feels like being today.
It's not funny.
Oh, it's super funny. See, you know, that's what I really like Bob for. It's his honesty. Some big news in the world of Warcraft this week. Patch 8.1 Tides of Vengeance has finally launched. You know what that means. I'm gonna say it with a big old smile on my face. Bitchin'. Another day, another quarter, another patch, another round of complaints coming from players who are very justifiably upset over some of the changes that they knew that were coming, but there were many changes that came that we didn't quite know about until well, now. I'm going to get to some of the highlights of that later in the show, but first I want to at least tell Blizzard, hey guys, you done goofed. There's a lot of stuff that was missing from here that really could have went into that super short survival guide that you put in last week. Like, it's really short, and maybe another 45 to 60 seconds of, you know, useful information would have been great. I know that with regards to like Titanforge, and Ian loves moments of surprise. This is not where I want moments of surprise, okay? So let's get to some of the news. The Vulpine Mount was added to the cash shop, well, just the other day. I think it's a pretty attractive four-legged furry, oh god, it flies. Well, it's pretty cool. This guy or girl goes for $25 on the shop, or anywhere between 200 to 400,000 gold depending on your market. Of course, there still exists the never-ending debate over adding cash shops when they should be attainable in-game. Of course, also with this patch comes some pretty expensive frog-looking mounts, and with that comes the complaint that, shucks, why should all this stuff be available only with gold? What if we just want to buy something in the shop, right? The other day, the game director for the World of Warcraft, Ian Hazzikostas, stood in front of a live audience giving his best stand-up routines. His greatest hits included some of the morally gray bits. Ooh, that was good. I'm just kidding. He actually hosted a Greek Q&A, if that could be believed. He hosted a different kind of Q&A where he answered questions, albeit old questions, from the Greek side of the Warcraft community about pretty much all things World of Warcraft and a little bit about his I don't know, family, I think? Like I said, these questions were old, so this was hardly a live Q&A. He was actually cutting in between some of these questions. And as for the questions and answers themselves, there isn't a whole lot to glean out of it, although he did talk a little bit about personal loot and one perspective, or at least one developer perspective, that talked about how inside loot tables, how there was a really bad feeling whenever, like, let's say you had a raid group, there were no hunters in said group, you kill a boss, the only thing that drops, ranged weapons, and everyone has pretty bad feelings. He talked about the design of that. I thought that was pretty interesting. It's something that, to be honest, I didn't really think about in any of my debates over personal loot. At any rate, I'm going to provide a link to that video below so you can enjoy it or hate on it all by yourself. In some very unfortunate news, I think one of the first official announcements coming from J. Allen Brack, Heroes of the Storm is going to ramp down on its cadence of productivity and content updates that are coming out, and also they're going to cancel the Heroes of the Storm Global Championships going forward. There's no punches to pull here. This really, really sucks. I mean, this game only came out 2015, so after not even 3 years or so, it's not like Heroes of the Storm is shutting down. They explain in the post that I'm going to link below as well that they're not going to like just cancel the game, but they are going to they're going to spread out content updates. They're just not going to work as hard on the game as they have been. And it is unfortunate that for XYZ reasons the game was not as successful as they hoped to be. It didn't really take off and, you know, try to overtake other big games like League of Legends or Dota. MOBAs aren't really my thing, so I can't comment on it too much, but I was excited to whenever I would see Heroes of the Storm updates, and I would see all of them, and I'd actually watch all the videos and see what the cool skill sets that some of these new characters have, and there's a lot of characters these days. I was even starting to get interested in some of the new characters that were coming out and thinking to myself, oh, so I guess Heroes of the Storm is starting to take off and branch off with its own original and fresh storylines, huh? Maybe not. I don't know. It's just a bummer that the game couldn't generate the same kind of excitement as like Overwatch or even StarCraft 2 and the original StarCraft. That's still kind of doing stuff. And even World of Warcraft Arenas, which has been trash talked numerous times by the community, it's still going. And maybe that's part of the reason. Blizzard's franchises, and I'm not even talking about all of Activision Blizzard and all of their IPs, but they have a lot of stuff to do with like esports and, well, they just have a lot of games. It's one thing for a self-publishing studio to launch a moderately successful esports. It's another thing to have multiple games and you're trying to push esports on all of them. Whatever the reasons are for this ramp down, I hope that the people that are moving to other projects and such, that those particular projects come out cool. I hope that this results in Blizzard coming out with better games. And I know, I can feel it coming in the comments below that there's going to be a whole bunch of mobile jokes and things like that. Okay, cool. Go ahead and let it out. This is the space to do it. But my hopes are that regardless of what comes out and on what platform it comes out on, is that they just keep making good games. All right, I got my eye on you, Blizzard folks. You know, keep doing good stuff. Okay. So with the launch of Tides of Vengeance, one of the most anticipated things to come out of it is the Hivemind, this mysterious brain-looking cloud multi-seater mount. We don't know what the heck it is, but supposedly it is accessible now, if you could find it. This super weird looking mount has been something I've been really looking forward to, just like the big old dinosaur auction house mount. That one for freaking 5 million gold. I was just like, yep, let's do it. And when it comes to unlocking this puzzle, I'm like all in. I can't wait to go through all the hoops and the craziness to unlock this thing. So when I finally do, trust that I will put out a video with a step-by-step guide on how to get it, and hopefully I'll produce it better than previous ones so that everyone can follow along. So the patch is out. Cool. With it comes the faction battles and the new island things to do and some of the new stuff to buy, all these things to craft and farm for and save up for and panic over or just wait because you're so cool and you just want to wait for the 22nd when the actual raid comes out. I was actually very surprised to see that the majority of the war campaign was completely accessible day one of this patch. There are several legs that come from this campaign, and the only thing that we don't have access to is the final kind of quest line that will finally open up the raid. So my guess is that that's not going to come out until either the week before or the week of the 22nd. January 22nd. I should make that clear. Good idea, Soul. I know that this is not a popular thought, but I think that they could have spaced out this campaign by like a week or so. Instead of being able to just gun through this whole thing and then you're like, okay, so what am I going to do now? I totally get it when there are people that are coming to me saying, no, we don't want this whole time gating thing to go on. Just bring it to us like right now. And you know what? Part of the blame does go to Blizzard, not because they're pacing the content this way, but because they're deciding to separate seasons from the actual patch. For real, I think what they should have done, I kind of said this last week, but I think what they should have done is for the 8.1 patch, they should have said nothing. They should have just been like, okay, here's patch notes, whatever, but no trailer, no Tides of Vengeance thing or anything like that. You know, wait up on all that stuff until after the actual patch comes out. Just have no fanfare. No fanfare at all. This is what's going on, whatever. But then really start talking it up before the second season starts. That way they can tell people that the patch itself means nothing. It doesn't mean you're going to be introduced to anything except for like the obvious like class changes and things like that you know have to come. And then on the 22nd, hit the switch and then boom, here's like your unleashed of content. Oh my god, there's so much stuff to do. I feel overwhelmed. It's almost raid time. Panic! I think they could have done something like that instead of sort of confuse people as to, oh cool, 8.1's out. What am I doing? This much stuff? Okay, now what? But even if they did do all that stuff right, there's still the big critique about the stuff that was just missing from these patch announcements. Like seriously, I don't try to make excuses for Blizzard. They're big boys and girls. They can take care of themselves. But like for real, dude, like well, I can't say anything to make people feel better. Like what the f happened? That one of the big things that went unsaid was that Artifact Knowledge was going to have a freeze up until the start of the second season on January 22nd. If you think about it, this probably wouldn't change the playstyles or the habits of like anybody, but at least saying that this change was going to happen would at least, you know, it would have been nice to just give everyone a heads up. But this change overall with Artifact Knowledge freezing until the 22nd, it's going to affect players in different ways. The most affected players are going to be the folks at the very top, the ones that are super grinding so they can make sure that they have access to all those traits because their raid teams or raid leaders told them that yes, you need to have that, otherwise you're going to lose your spot. Like, you really got to have that increased run speed, which, you know, for a competitive mythic raider who's at like the top 5, top 10, yeah, that stuff is definitely going to matter. The group that is somewhat affected by this change is comprised of anyone who does care about getting every last trait, including the juicy center of their Azerite Gear, regardless of what anyone tells them and regardless of what their actual playstyle is. The ones who really aren't affected as much, in my opinion at least, or is anyone who's above, I think, level 33 or so, because that's what's going to get you like the first 2 rings of this new Azerite Gear in 8.1, and that's the good stuff. And the ones who aren't affected at all, well, they're the ones who just stopped playing the game. Yeah, you're going to find them in the comments below anyway with their arms folded like this, and they're going to have a smug look like, At any rate, what are some of the little things that Blizzard should have mentioned, and yet they didn't? I guess one had to do with profession level requirements. It appears that the new items that you'll be able to make in patch 8.1 will have a profession level requirement in order to use them. I'm actually surprised that this requirement wasn't put in sooner, because this is more like a profession perk. It's not like you can sell this mythic gear to other people. As an engineer who can now make mythic Azerite helmets for myself, yeah, I think that makes sense. It's just really jarring for people who happen to have abandoned their profession for whatever reason, not because they were trying to, ooh, I'm going to exploit this stuff and I'm going to make mythic everything like rings and all this other stuff for myself. Stackable items from vendors now have a slightly more friendly UI so that you can buy stacks in more exact numbers, but there's better ways to do it. You can download the Buy 'em All add-on, which I'm going to have a link for below. That makes things way easier, okay? The new Paragon chests happen to have a couple more rewards than normal, including some gold and war resources, that sort of stuff. And with the pets and the toys that are already coming, that's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's especially nice that it doesn't have a mount. So for those of us who are like super obsessed with mounts, we don't feel the need to continually farm for Paragon rep just so we can finish our collections. Unless I'm a hardcore pet collector and I have to complete my stable collection. Otherwise, I'll die. Now I have to do this PvE content in order for me to get all the pets. F this. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm reading here that you can cage those pets and then you can sell them on the auction house. Sweet! This week, game director Ian Hazzikostas and his favorite wingman Josh Allen aka Lore had a Q&A. Well, actually, it was just today. I'll explain that somewhere in this video. The Q&A was a series of questions and answers, which gives you a really good indication of what you would expect from something like this. However, there was one very, very big piece of news. When it comes to Azerite and Azerite Gear and the Heart of Azeroth, it looks like in the future in the oh shucks, what did they call it? The Rise of Ashara, or basically by the time 8.2 comes out, which is what, probably gonna be like summer, June, July-ish, something like that. Azerite gear as we know it is not gonna matter anymore. In the future, gear that drops from 8.2, probably from the new raid, is going to have all the traits and powers and all that stuff just unlocked. The level of your Heart of Azeroth is no longer going to matter because, at least from these initial announcements from Ian himself, the powers or the cool things about the Heart of Azeroth are going to be inclusive into itself. So, a bit of speculation here, it seems that the Heart of Azeroth is going to turn into kind of like a more traditional looking artifact weapon kind of thing, where you probably open up your Heart of Azeroth and ta-da, you open it up and you see beautiful skills and passives and things to power up, which might be cool. They also address some other things that have been a hot topic this week and even around this video about communication. They explained some of the reasoning why some things were missed. They admitted that they straight up did miss a couple of things, and there were some little menial questions that were answered too, not a big deal. The other thing that they covered, and I'm going to talk about this maybe a little bit more in my Q&A coverage video that I'm going to do right after this, they talked about the reasoning why they don't allow you to delete your mythic keystones anymore. A lot of this has to do with at least one of the reasons why we delete our keystones in the first place, because the dungeon that we happen to get just really sucks and we'd rather get something else. The behavior that Blizzard wants to avoid is to hamstring players into going into very specific dungeons because those happen to be the easiest for the purpose of this and this and this affix, or just a dungeon that is just demonstrably easier than all the others, so hey, players just prefer to do that one instead. So in the future we can hope and expect and respond to certain actions from Blizzard where they try to rebalance the dungeons, reallocate mobs, maybe remove certain affixes from mobs, add stuff here, subtract stuff there, basically to get a little bit more parity with dungeons overall, so that way we don't feel as bad about getting the tougher dungeon with our keystone. They do acknowledge that sometimes, yes, some dungeons ought to be harder than others given the effects. That's part of the randomness of things, which I get that a lot of people do not like. They'd rather have a much more predictable experience. In my opinion, that's kind of the nature of Mythic Plus, though, that you are going to get these random affixes, you're going to be allotted a certain kind of dungeon that you may or may not want to run, and then you go from there. I'm excited to see what they have going forward, if anything, for me to simply observe, as I should make it very well known, I'm not a very active Mythic Plus person at all. The bigger thing, though, was definitely the Heart of Azeroth change. I'm really excited to see what's going to come next. How is this going to be treated? Is it going to be, something similar to the Legion artifacts like I was talking earlier? Will it be some sort of, will it be something new, or what? It doesn't address the concern that I've been expressing over this past week about character growth and progression, which is something that they tried to talk about in the Q&A, but I think that they kind of missed the mark. I'm going to be talking about that more in the Q&A coverage video, but I'm still very concerned that the growth of our characters is still going to be limited to this thing, this Heart of Azeroth, or to the weapon, the swingy thing, whatever we have. I really want to see something better in the future, and I don't believe that another gimmicky kind of, hey, here's the expansion kind of piece of progression that we have this time. I don't think that's the answer, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so it's time for some free talk, and if you hadn't noticed, it's actually not the 14th, it's actually the 13th. I'm recording this a little bit early because, well, the Q&A that's supposed to happen on Friday, which is tomorrow, but if you're watching this, it's today, whatever. Since there's going to be a live Q&A on Friday, that's why I recorded the weekly a little bit earlier. So the things that I say throughout today's video, they might have a certain kind of slant to it, or they might sound dated because, yeah, because I recorded this yesterday. So that's going to explain why I'm more than likely going to wear like different clothes throughout this video. I might jump here and there. I might add some comments and all that stuff. So that's a little bit of the magic at play. Ooh. Overall, though, I want to ask you folks at home and on your little meditation chair, how do you think, how do you feel about the patch so far? So far, I'm having a pretty good time. It feels like just any other patch, to be perfectly honest. It's like a quick, cool day one of the patch. There's stuff to do. You run out of stuff to do. You fall into old habits, and like that's it. I continue to be baffled by some of the critics who do have things to say about, oh, there's like literally no content to do, man. You know, nothing is important for me. I get it if there is nothing that's fun for you. I mean, imagine how it is for hardcore pet battlers who are like, we still haven't seen a dungeon, Blizz. We've only had like 3. Gosh. I want to try to talk about this in a future video, but I'm kind of hesitant because it would be really depressing for me to have some video that talks about, hey, if in case you're bored of WoW, here's what you can do, because it's a very, I don't know, releasing something like that makes Blizzard seem desperate, even though this is me just trying to help the players out and encourage them, hey, you know what? I get that you're all for like Mythic Plus and raids and dungeons and that sort of thing, but what about this? What about something like outside the box that you might not be comfortable with, or you might have like some predisposition over it? You might just not like it, but hey, try it out. You might be surprised. I mean, that's something that happened to me when I started doing stuff in the auction house. I was like, I'll just see if I can make money. I'm not really doing anything right now. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. It's almost like real life PvP, but with the economy. Like, I remember when patch 7.1 came out and people were complaining, it's like, ugh, another freaking a recycled raid is turned into a dungeon. God, way to recycle content, Blizz. Or Trial of Valor was a shorter raid, so it's like, ugh, it's such a short raid. You know, they should have used these resources on something else, Blizz. I wonder to myself if those bean counters at Blizz, if they look at some of these comments about people being like, well, I guess I'm not going to play until the 22nd, haha. If those folks think to themselves, okay, cool, we'll see on the 22nd, and that's it. I mean, how are they supposed to react? Has Blizzard come to a point, and I think they have, where they just fully accept the idea that yes, people are going to stop for a while, and that they're going to come in when they see stuff to do, and they're totally fine with people just stopping? Part of me thinks, why not? Because it could take weeks, months to develop actual content that for people to do, but it may take only like hours or a day or so for players to actually finish it and be like, ugh, so boring, Blizz, what's next? I think though, that's just who we are. We are content consumers, you know, we're out, yeah, I'm out there too. I'm going in, I'm trying to complete everything as quickly as possible so I can fall into my usual routine. Hey, I'll just do a couple of my maintenance things and I'll still get enough Azerite in order to get my level to where I need it to be when I need to do it. I have my own fluctuating playstyle where I'll farm hard. I mean, I leveled like really quick and got all the reps and did all that stuff, and then I slow down. I take breaks, even though I'm still subscribed and all that. But sometimes I'm like, okay, I can wait off and I can just binge on world quests later, or I can let some expire. Not a big deal. So the question that I have for you folks at home and elsewhere is, how much do you want in a patch? Like, are you looking for like a super brand new gameplay, like this crazy thing that you need to like learn and discover and farm for like days and days and days, or otherwise you fall behind? Or are you okay with certain mechanics like time gating and things that or valor points or whatnot that help pace the content and control just how much you end up playing? I'd love to hear your comments on that and any of the other stuff that I talked about today. I'm going to wrap things up about now, but I also want to thank all of you for the cool comments that I got from the video that I just put out the other day, where I talk about some of my critiques about the World of Warcraft, as well as, well, at least in the future, when I want to start suggesting kind of a whole revamp of how I think WoW should be re-envisioned in order to sustain it. In order to sustain it in the long term. That's pretty important to me. The channel has been kind of mirroring the mood of the World of Warcraft right now. It's kind of had a downturn, but now things are starting to look up. We're starting to kind of, and I think we finished licking our wounds and airing our grievances, and now we're at a point where we want to seek improvements, and that's kind of where I want to be at as a content creator in this World of Warcraft space. I don't need to lecture Blizzard, even though I kind of like threw some shade at them a little bit earlier in this video, but I simply want to give some genuine feedback without trying to tell them how they should be conducting themselves and how they should be doing their job. That said, improve the communication, pretty please. It's kind of right now, and it could be like way better. You know what would be cool? As a final thought, I want to hear what you guys think about it. What if they had organizations like, I know that they do it with Wowhead because they're big, and maybe they do it with Curse or MMO Champion, but what about just good old content creators on YouTube and Twitch and whatnot? Every now and then, maybe it would be a good idea to fly all of them in, like the big ones. I'm too small, but you know, hey, if you want me, cool, I'm over here. But fly them in. You know, bring us all in, and it's not going to be about, hey, let's do a whole media blast and media events so we can hype up WoW. I'd rather have like a whole feedback loop between developers and marketers and such and content creators to come up with some sort of strategy to get more information out there, to get people talking about it without us ending up being like Blizzard shills. I know I joke about it quite a bit, but I'm not. If anything, being an anti-shill, that's where the money's at. You feel me? But I think something like that would be cool. Getting feedback from content creators, because the last thing I want to do, and I've been doing it because Blizzard has been changing the message, I don't want to give out wrong information, or I don't want to end up giving out information that is right up until Blizzard changes it, and then I got to go back and issue corrections and things like that, and that's not cool. Anyway, that's the final thought. Next week, you can look forward to maybe part 2 of my feedback video. I have some other stuff that I'm going to be working on, as well as I'm going to try to get out my first official episode of my add-on feature video. I'm going to be doing that like maybe every 2 weeks or so. I'm going to feature some new add-ons or ones that the community has presented to me that I think I should check out. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel. It helps me out greatly. Support me as a patron. That would help me out even more. Feel free to visit me on the streams. They go on every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the morning or so, unless I flake out. And in that case, you can just follow me on Twitter so you can get some updates from me on the channel and other things like that. And yeah, I think I just about ran out of breath. So that's it from me and Bob. You guys have a good one. I'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.